Hi everyone, this is Lori here with Lori Hooks. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So today's video is a Yarny catch-up where I'm going to show my finished object. Well, I have two finished objects. One's really exciting, the other one not so exciting, as well as I have a couple whips that I'm working on. So let's get started with my really exciting finished object. So to go back a little bit, back in early January, maybe it was late December, my daughter had up on her wall in her room, she had this design made out of sticky notes. And the sticky notes were starting to come off the wall and they were discoloring from the sun in her room. Her room gets lots of nice sun. So the sticky notes were getting discolored and she was taking them off the wall. And it was quite a cleanup because it had left a little bit of a mess behind. And she was talking to me about what she was going to do with her wall now because it looks boring without her sticky notes. And so I said to her, I think I can make something for your wall. And the two of us got on and looked at some images on Google. We had looked at some patterns on Etsy and stuff like that. And so she picked out a mandala pattern that she would like. So I did show it as a whip quite a few weeks ago. I was probably I would say I probably had about half the rounds done, but of course, because it's worked from the center out, that doesn't mean it's half finished. That means it's like a quarter of the way finished, because as you go on, the rounds, of course, get longer and so they take longer to do. So today, her mandala is done. So I will show you what it looks like. So this is it. And it's pretty big. It's 32 inches. And these are the colors that she picked out. And that is her mandala. I'll show it to you up close and what the stitching looks like. So I'm very proud of how this came out. I think that it looks really, really nice. I'm going to insert a picture here of what it looks like hung up on her wall. About a week ago, I got in my head that I wanted to get this thing done. So it is the major project that I've been working on for the last week. And yesterday, we did the final part of attaching it to the hoop. So let's go on and talk about the materials used for this project. So for the yarn, the pattern called for something like a sheepy's whirl or something like that. And I would have rathered a cotton, but I couldn't find a cotton in the colors that she liked. So I picked up this sheepy's whirly whirl. And this color is Bubblegum Center. And this is what I have left. So we have quite a bit left still on this cake. And this is a fingering weight yarn. It's very fine. It's very nice to work with. There are some spots in it that are a little looser, a little thicker. So I was a little disappointed in that because this is a pretty expensive cake. I think I paid it close to, actually I think I paid a little over $30 for this Canadian. So it is pretty expensive, but you get a lot of yarn on here, of course. This was so the thing on this never makes sense to me. It says 215 to 225 grams equals 1,000 meters and 100 grams equals 450 meters. So I did weigh this yesterday just to see what I had left to think about what else I could use the rest of this for. And there's 126 grams left on here. Now, of course, that includes the weight of the label, but I don't know, there's quite a bit left. Like based on that, there's over half left, which I wouldn't have thought there was that much left on here. But anyway, so that's the yarn that I used for that. And for the hoop, and the reason why, if you're listening, it makes noise, this is a hula hoop. So I went to my local Dollarama, which is basically the dollar store here in Canada, where almost nothing costs $1. a hula hoop in Dollarama cost $3.50, and all the ones they had these beads inside it so it makes noise. Now this was originally blue and yellow striped. My daughter and I, we covered it in white electrical tape, which covered over really well, and the electrical tape cost us $2.50. So for the hoop, $3.50 plus $2.50, that's $6 to do a hoop, which is absolutely fantastic. It was the hoop that I was really concerned about, because when I started this project, it didn't occur to me that finding a 32-inch hoop would be a problem. Normally, you know, I would buy a metal hoop from Michael's. The largest they sell there, I think, was a 19-inch, which isn't anywhere near big enough. And then I was reading another pattern, I think it's a Yarn Inspirations pattern, and it's Mandala, similar to this one, and they mounted it on a 32-inch hula hoop. And I was like, well, that's a fantastic idea. That should work really well. Now, most of the hula hoops that I've seen are pretty weak and flimsy. This one is actually pretty strong. I'm not going to show you how strong it is just because I don't want to accidentally bend it, but it is pretty strong. We didn't have an issue mounting it on here, and I think that it looks really good. So I'm very happy with how it came out. It was a fun, but I'll call it mindful project. It's not something that well, for me anyways, it was not a good TV project. It was a project that I like to have when I'm really concentrating, some background noise. So I would work on it with the radio on, or while my husband or my daughter was playing a video game, because I can kind of tune the video game out. But talking to me, you know, I needed them to be distracted with something. So either when they weren't home, they were distracted with something, so they weren't talking to me while I was working on it. It is an 8 repeat pattern. So, you know, once you first do the first 1 or 2, but they're pretty intricate each repeat. So remembering what you need to do for the repeats can be difficult. But towards the end, it gets a little more easier because you kind of know what's going to come next. Whereas in the beginning, it is pretty intricate. So I'm really happy with the outcome. I hope that my daughter enjoys having it on her wall. So far, she likes it. And I think I'll consider doing another one day, because I really like how it came out. And I think it was worth the effort and the hours that I put into it. This is 38 rounds on here, and towards the end, these rounds were taking me a little over an hour to do each one. So there's a lot of time involved in it, and but I'm really happy with the outcome. So that is my daughter's mandala. The pattern is called Morning Flower Mandala. I will link the Etsy shop in the description box below for it, where I purchased the pattern. And I started out with a 2.5 millimeter hook, and at first when I was at round 5, I was at gauge, but then when you get to round 10 and round 15, she gives you the measurements again. By the time I got to round 15, I was a little small, so I did up it to a 2.75 millimeter hook, which was fine. Changing it then, you can't tell that I changed it then, and my size came out pretty good because she called for a 32-inch hoop, and I think it fits pretty good on that 32-inch hoop. So I'm very happy. So that is finished object number 1. Finished object number 2. What did I do with it? It's not very exciting. I made a bowl cozy. So this is what it looks like. I've forgotten the name of the pattern, and I realized today that I forgot to write it down in my book. But I will link the pattern in the description box below. If you watched my last video, I had started a different bowl cozy where you held 2 together. I thought that it was too thick the way that it was coming out, so I frogged it out and I made this one, which this is 1 ply, and this is Lily Sugar and Cream in the color, I believe this is hot pink. Yes, hot pink. So lots left on this little cake. This is actually the larger size Lily Sugar and Cream. It's the super size. But I made myself bow cozy. So I don't know if I'll make more in this size. This size fits my cereal bowls perfectly, but this is not the size bowl that we typically use in the microwave. We have these bowls, I think they're called pasta bowls, but we use them almost all the time when we're heating something in the microwave. So down the road, you might see some pasta bowl size bowl covers, bowl cozies. So that was finished object number 2. And that's all the finished objects that I've had for the last couple weeks. Everything else that I've been, well, not everything else that I've been working on. The other major thing that I've been working on is more effort and again takes longer to do. So that is a knit project. I'll get it over here. And this is a knit cardigan. Show you it the right way around. Because it's dark colored, it's kind of hard to see it. It is called the shawl collar cardigan, and it's got a bunch of ends hanging out of it. And I have split for the sleeves. So if you see this gray yarn hanging, that is the split for the sleeves. But it's called shawl collar cardigan, and it is a pattern by Ashley Lillis, I think her last name is. She has a YouTube tutorial for this, which is fantastic for a beginner knitter like me, as well as she has the PDF for free on her website. But this is it so far. So I'm quite a bit in. I split for the sleeves, and this is how much I've done since the sleeve split. But I'm happy with how it's coming out. The yarn that I'm using for this is Lion Brand Woolies, and I don't have a yarn band for it because I did crochet a cardigan with this yarn probably close to 2 years ago before I had a channel, and I frogged the whole thing to start this. I frogged the other one and caked them all up, and that's the yarn that I'm using for this. So I don't have a ball band for it, but I have another ball of this somewhere in my stash. I'm probably going to need to dig it out before this is done. So I need to do that one day, and then I can show you guys what the ball band is and what color it is, because I'm not really sure. It is like this dark purple color, which I think is really pretty. It's my kind of winter color, and Woolies is a wool and acrylic mixed yarn. So I'm really happy with how it's coming out so far. It's worked up on these 9mm needles, and I'm really enjoying working on it. It is my TV project right now. And the other thing that I started is I don't have an Easter gnome. And if you've been watching the last few videos of mine, Passionate Crafter has, or other people who make gnomes patterns, the Passionate Crafter is having a gnome along for 2023, and she's been releasing at least one gnome every month. Some months she's had 2, some months she's had 4, but last weekend she had not released an Easter gnome, and so I wanted to make an Easter gnome. So I went online and I searched on Etsy, and I found a pattern that I liked, which I will insert it up here of what hers looks like. This one is by Mufficorn, and I wasn't thinking when I bought this. I have started one of Mufficorn's patterns in the past that I did not finish because I don't really like the way her gnomes are worked. Hers are worked from the top of the hat down, and that includes the entire body, and then you stuff, and I like to put cardboard or some small little rocks I get at the dollar store. I like to put them in the bottom to weigh it down. If it's a gnome that's not top heavy, I just put a piece of cardboard in the bottom, which I use like foam board that's a little thicker. But if it's a gnome that's a little top heavy, I'll insert the foam board and then put some pebbles on top of it to help weigh it down. And so I forgot about that. I saw the picture of the gnome for her pattern, and I thought that it was really cute. So I bought the pattern. I wasn't thinking about that. So I'm using the pattern from the Passionate Crafter from her January gnome to make my Easter gnome, and then I'll use Mufficorn's bunny ears and the flowers to finish it off. So here's what I have so far. I have a hat, a nose, a body, and some arms, and they're all sewn together. So I just need to add the bunny ears and the flowers that she's got, and a beard, of course, and then I'll be done. But this is what I have so far, and this has been my backup project for when I, you know, just gonna crochet for a few minutes, and you know, I want something to work on for a few minutes while I'm in between things or whatever. So I haven't put a lot of time into this. I've actually been working on it for a week now, but I've been working on it for, you know, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, half an hour there, half an hour there type thing. That's what I've been doing with it. So that is everything that I've been working on lately. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited that my daughter's mandala is done. And yeah. So in terms of upcoming, I won a prize, and there'll be a video for that. So there's that. And upcoming, I'm not really sure. I'm itching to start something new, but I don't know what that something new is yet. So we will see what that is coming down the road. I have some acquisitions coming, so because I have 2 orders that I placed that are not here yet. And I recently bought some yarn at Michael's that I haven't done anything with, that I really want to get started on something with one of them. And yeah, so I'm itching. And I still, if you watched my last video, I had wearables on the brain. I still have wearables on the brain. I haven't got rid of that thought. So that's kind of the patterns that I've been perusing for my upcoming projects that I want to do. So we'll see where I end up with that. So anyways, I guess that is it for today. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for hanging out with me today. And I will see you next time on Lori Hooks. Bye everyone.